Ladies and gentlemen, we have some breaking news from the great press war of 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to reporting from the front of the great press war. We're here we're near the battle zone. I see. Oh my goodness. I see Trump is sending bombs and it's just all the destruction. Oh no, there's Brian Stelter and Lawrence O'Donnell. Oh my gosh, what's happening? Oh no, look out. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, Dawg Knight. Alrighty then, stop the music. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, me, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the Dawg Knight channel. Yes, the great American press war is upon us. Well, the battle's been raging for a good 3 years now, but I'm pretty sure that we see the battles have been so lopsided, and I just don't get it. You know, it's there's just been devastation, and we are here to report on the war, the great press war. Hello. Nice to see a few of you popping into the room. Hope we're going to have a good time today. It is August 29th, 2019. Thursday, also known around these parts as FTG Thursday. So, strap up, buckle in, whatever you do. Get yourself a cup of that lovely coffee. Of the reparations variety. I have my reparations coffee. I got my notes. I even have some funk, which I'll let's do this. Let's get the funk going here. Let me mute this for a moment. We're gonna start right here with something called Mind Your Business. As soon as I figure out how to turn this damn thing down. Oh, it's already at the right level even. All right. Well, let's kick it. This has a little bit of a Robert Cray feel to it. I know it's kind of soft, but I just like getting a little groove onto it. So, the reason I decided to call this the Great Press War is because this morning when I opened up my old Twitter thing that I tend to look at on the daily, I caught a little blurb by Mr. Brian Stelter of the CNN show called Reliable Sources, which might be the most misnamed show on television. However, I digress. Well, Brian Stelter decided to use the Twitter machine this morning to put this on his Twitter feed. Namely, this. He says, Trump has made a war on the press as a central part of his presidency. This week, it feels as if he's turned up the volume another notch. Speaking of volume, I need to turn this volume down on my headset. Holy smokes. Sorry about the beep there. And after the timing of this, just this tweet alone just makes me wonder if Brian Stelter pays attention to the news of the day. But let's look at this article first, because a lot of things today are going to be kind of revolving around how the news tries to tell a story, tries to fill our minds with, what's it called? Oh, a narrative. The corporate media, and when I say corporate media, I mean all the mainstream media. I mean CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post. I even mean Fox News, because a lot of the things Fox News gets is from the AP. All of them. I'm not a fan of any of them, because they're always trying to shape your opinion. But let's get into Brian Stelter's little article up today. Right here. Now, and it's amazing to me. This is amazing. There's so many. This is the. How would I describe Brian Stelter's? Well, okay. I was gonna say, how would I describe Brian Stelter's balls right now? But I really don't want to describe it. Well, let's just say his balls are as big as the thing on top of his neck. That big ball on his neck. Oh, this is by Oliver Darcy. Oh, now Oliver Darcy, and they put CNN Business. Oliver Darcy is that jackass at CNN who goes around trying to find people's tweets and trying to find the bad things he says. And then he writes articles about people like PewDiePie and people on YouTube. He might be, in a stealth sort of manner, one of the people who is responsible for at least one of the YouTube adpocalypses, because he writes articles. He's a jackass. Anyway, let's see what Oliver Darcy has to say about Trump turning up the volume with days of anti-media attacks. Now, let's see what he says here. Oh, a version of this article first appeared in the Reliable Sources newsletter. You can sign up for free right here. Oh, that's Brian Stelter's newsletter. Okay, here it is. Trump has made a war on the press as a central part of his presidency. Let's just think about that sentence first. Do you think the press is friendly to the president, or do you think the press is antagonistic to the president in general? I'm not counting just Fox News. They obviously have more people on his side, but they have people who don't like him too. Do you think that who's it doing in the afternoon? Shepard Smith? Do you think Shepard Smith's a big Trump fan? I don't think so. Do you think Geraldo Rivera's a big Trump fan? I don't think so. Even Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace doesn't give a shit about Trump. Although one thing about Chris Wallace, he'll give shit to anybody. So Chris Wallace is okay. But the rest anyway. Here's Oliver Darcy says, Trump has attacked Washington Post for publishing a scoop about him offering pardons if officials break the law to build the wall on the southern border more quickly. He then attacked CNN after the news network confirmed the paper's reporting. Well, that's fascinating. Did they confirm the reporting, or did they... Well, they confirmed the paper reported that, but was that story true? I don't know that story was true. Okay, so Trump... So he attacked them, or did he just dispute their story? Number 2, Trump has zinged the New York Times over the Bret Stephens bedbug incident. Who hasn't zinged Bret Stephens over the bed bugs incident? Everybody on the planet is making fun of Bret Stephens. How is that an attack on the press? That's not a part of a war. Brett Stevens is an idiot. Everyone thinks Brett Stevens. I'll continue. He has repeatedly lashed out at Axios for reporting that he has previously suggested nuking hurricanes as they form. What? Another story that has been proven false. Okay? That's... Oh, good God. And has even skewered Fox for having the nerve to interview a Democrat on its air. I don't know the story behind that. I know he doesn't like the fact that Donna Brazil's at Fox. He does, and the fact that, the Fox is going to interview whoever they want. And apparently I vaguely know the story, but the Democrat was critical of Trump, so Trump was critical of them. Yeah. Trump fights back every time. Okay, whatever. There has never been a time in the history of our country that the media was so fraudulent, fake, or corrupt, Trump wrote Wednesday night. Has the media had a good week? We'll get into that a little bit. When his presidency looked back on, he said he hopes that a big part of his legacy will be exposing the massive dishonesty in the press. Well, we're seeing it every day. Darcy goes on, which is interesting because something tells me the exact opposite thing will be said. Chris Cuomo got into this with Kayleigh McEnany, whatever her name is, on Wednesday night. McEnany said with a straight face that Trump has never lied, while the media lies every day. And Cuomo said she was shredding her credibility. Well, to say that he's never lied, I can't agree with that, but I can't say that he lies more than the press does. Trump's insecurity. Oh, let's see. Okay. Brian Stelter's emails. This week, burst of anti-media messages reflect insecurity on the part of the president. You writing this article reflects the insecurity of the press. With the re-election campaign on his mind, he doesn't want voters to know about the messy reality of life in the Trump White House. He hates the leaks. Does any president like leaks? I don't think so. And he hates when Fox covers his Democratic rivals. Many of his anti-Fox tweets have been in response to Fox News coverage of the Democratic Party. More in response to what the people said, more than what that he's actually covering them. I don't think he cares that they're covering. Thank you. Thank you, C. Thomas. Good morning, Corbin. How you doing, my brother? With a $2 super chat, you can do that down there. The Streamlabs links is in the description down below. How can the court eunuch say Trump started this war when they've been against him since day one? Oh, they've been against him. Yeah, they've been against him since he announced running for president, let alone since he became president, except for the Morning Joe guys who, the Morning Joe guys who helped him get elected. I love saying that. Okay, also, fuck everything about Oliver Darcy. He's got a very punchable face, and he should be punched for being a piece of shit. That's right. Fuck this guy. Thursday. FTG. Okay, let me, I'm happy to read that, but I'm going to disavow the punch Oliver Darcy. But I think he would get his mouth. Well, let's see. How do I want to say this? I don't think anyone should be punched. Okay, I'm being consistent. I don't think you should punch Nazis because they'll just do some shit back to you. And I don't think you should punch Oliver Darcy because he will cry and get, salt all over your shoes. And because you shouldn't, I do not condone violence. But I will agree that he's a piece of shit. Thank you very much, Corbin, for the super chat. Super chats are available below. Good morning, Maggie Rose. How are you? I found you through Lords of the Night. Looking forward to hearing your perspective. Well, thank you. I always love having new people here. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. I'm going to say good morning to everybody in a minute. Anyway, so with the re-election campaign on his mind, he doesn't want voters to know about domestic life. I already said that. Hates leaks. Hates with Fox. Okay. Stelter posted that Trump doesn't want his Fox fans hearing about his 2020 rivals. They can't help but hear about the 2020 rivals. They're news. So, whatever. Stelter continues. On Wednesday morning, as you surely know by now, Trump said Fox is letting millions of great people down and isn't working for us anymore. Okay, whatever. The president basically let credence to his critics' claims that Fox News is akin to state-run TV. Well, clearly they're not if they're interviewing candidates, whatever, you know. But his grievance is that the network isn't not loyal enough, so we have to start looking for a new news outlet. Robert Herring, of the CEO of the Fox wannabe rival OANN, replied to Trump's tweet and said, "You can always turn to OANN for real and credible news." Herring has positioned OANN to the right of Fox, but its distribution is limited and its audience size is small. Okay, whatever. One more point from Stelter. Trump has been griping about Fox newscasts all year long. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. So Fox has been quiet about it. Let's see. Okay, let's go down here. So here's Fox stark silence. News outlets typically defend themselves and stand up for their journalists when attacked by the president. But all year long, Fox News spokespeople have steadfastly declined to comment every time Trump targets the network. That pattern, well, maybe because they're not as thin-skinned as you people of CNN, especially Oliver Darcy, by the way, might be the most thin-skinned person on the planet. I remember during the Seth Rich thing, Oliver Darcy was claiming to have an email from some detective that supposedly recanted everything he said. And so people started asking, well, let's see the email, right? Let's see the email. And he wouldn't produce it. He still, to this day, hasn't produced it. But then he just began blocking people who would ask him about the email that he said he had. But anyway, hello. Okay, all right. Let me stop right here. I was gonna wait, but I too many people are jumping in. I'm gonna say hello to everybody real quick, and then we'll continue. First of all, this morning our first on the scene today is good old Diesel Dave. You get the bell, sir. Good morning. Good morning also to Sarah. Smile, smile. Do 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 do. I really didn't sing that in key this time. Anyway, good morning, Duck Dog, Jaeger Pony, Max Del Rio, Maddie, Longfish, Jaeger, Necro, Saul Collins, Duck Dog, C. Thomas, my buddy Corbin, who already did a super chat this morning, Max Del Rio, Irish Rose, Maggie Rose, who's new to the show today. Welcome, we're glad you're here. Mr. No-Nopoly of Gulf City. Now, if I've been reading that wrong all along, has it always been Mr. No-Nopoly? Because I've been saying Monopoly. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. And Maniac Man and Chadwick Dupree just popped in. Good morning, everybody. So that's everyone who's in the show. As you pop in, I'll try to make sure I say hi to everybody. Thank you for being here. Also, before I continue, just so you know, the Morning Night Live is sponsored by you, the viewers of the Morning Night Live. And so right down here, there is that share arrow, the arrow that says share. Use the share arrow. Tweet this out if you can. Also, while you're here, you might as well go ahead and hit that like button because I know you love me. And if you don't, go ahead and hit the don't like. I don't care. Just have some interaction. And if you'd like to do super chats, we do super chats through Streamlabs alone because I don't have enough subscribers to be on the special list that YouTube does. So I don't do super chats to YouTube. Donations and super chats are done through the Streamlabs link down below. And speaking of super chats, I heard that bell again, and it could be a super chat. It could be something else. Oh, no, it is my buddy C. Thomas. Another $2. Thank you, sir. I just got this new pasta sauce. It's too salty. I think it's called Quomfredo CNN branded sauce. Yes, good old Fredo. And when he ever sees something stupid, I like to say, Fredo, please. Okay, all right, let's get back into the article because we'll finish this one up and move on. So, oh, come on. Brian Stetzer is such an idiot. Let's go back to full screen so you can see the whole thing. And there we go. So they're saying that Fox News typically doesn't comment every time Trump targets the network. That pattern continued Wednesday, but a couple of other Fox staffers rebutted Trump via Twitter. Britt Hume said Fox News isn't supposed to work for you. Good for Britt Hughes. He's absolutely right. Fox should not be working for anybody. I want Fox to just do the news and tell the truth. And if their commentators are on the right, fine. If they have commentators on the left, fine. I don't care. Just be honest. Oh, I missed Mr. Dax. Good morning, Mr. Dax. Also MC, Hammer Time. And that's everybody. Okay. So, Washington Post now. In contrast to Fox's silence with the Washington Post, Trump lashed out at the WAPO after the paper reported on Wednesday that he recently told aides he will issue pardons to officials who break the law in order to more quickly build his border wall. This was made up by the Washington Post only in order to demean and disparage fake news, Trump tweeted. Of course, it was anything but fake. CNN later confirmed Washington Post reporting via two of its own sources. That prompted another tweet from Trump, who then attacked both CNN and the Washington Post as being wrong. I checked in with the Washington Post spokesman Wednesday night to see if the paper had any response to Trump. The spokesman replied, "We fully stand by our story." Well, you all stood behind your freaking Covington Catholic story too until you couldn't anymore. So you know what? Look, the credibility of the media hasn't been helped by the actions of the media. So it's hard to say. So then they have this Axios story where they said that Trump, they got into this. Axios CEO and co-founder Jim Vandehei published a thorough response on Wednesday responding to Trump's repeated attacks. Vandehei said that the story by Axios reporter Jonathan Swan on Trump suggesting using nuclear weapons against hurricanes was meticulously sourced, except the story was false. Vandehei added that since Axios published its story, additional sources have corroborated the publication's account. Look, just because oh my God. So the reporter, they said something about stopping hurricanes with nukes, which was actually, what was that? That was a plot from one of those Sharknado movies. Holy crap. For the record, then they got some here other times of faction. Let's just read there for the record. Dorian strengthened on Wednesday. Okay, this is just things that are happening in the world. Dorian strengthened on Wednesday as news outlets deployed reporters for coverage. Yeah, if you're in the Florida area or perhaps the Bahamas, that it's past Puerto Rico now, and it could get into hurricane stage. They're saying up to a Category 3 hurricane. So please be safe if you're in that part of the world. Shepard Smith fact-checked Trump again on Wednesday. No fan of Trump. This time calling his claims on Puerto Rico and the wall decidedly not true. We'll see that one. I'll open that one up. Speaking of Fox, ex-Fox reporter Carl Cameron called Trump a crybaby president who wants to bully during a conversation with Brooke Baldwin. Well, that was on CNN, of course. And you know what? Trump is very, very, very thin-skinned. There's no doubt about that. But I also would say that he often legitimately complains about stories that are false, because there's one biggie that we're going to get to. Eric Wemple writes about how New York Times big story on the Tea Party omitted the mention of race. New York Times later updated the story to include context about attacks on President Obama and racist displays of Tea Party. You know, that whole Tea Party thing, that story is there's been a constant attempt since that Tea Party phenomenon happened back at the beginning of Obama's presidency. Actually, it began at the end of the Bush presidency. continued into the Obama presidency. And until Obama was elected, you never heard anything about it being about race. But then Obama was elected, and so the entire Tea Party movement suddenly, as far as the media was concerned, was about race, which it was not. And it's funny to include context about attacks on President Obama and racist displays at some Tea Party rallies. What's fascinating about this, I think the only reason they're talking about the Tea Party all of a sudden is because Joe Walsh, that jackass who used to be a representative from I can't remember where, is running against Trump. And Joe Walsh is a big Tea Party guy, right? And so the New York Times puts out this big article almost fawningly remembering the Tea Party because Joe Walsh, right? And then they get called out for not talking about the racist aspects of the Tea Party. So anyway, good God. And then Sarah Sanders joining Fox, also in talks with consulting firm, whatever that is. Okay, I don't care. Let's move on from this because this is freaking silly. But yeah, Brian Stelter, of all people, has a show called Reliable Sources. Well, since we're talking about reliable sources, let's talk about a reliable source. Now, I'm going to talk about a reliable... I'm sorry, I forgot the quote marks, the reliable source that... isn't Joe Walsh that singer from the Eagles? Well, everybody in the Eagles is a singer. But yes, he is the guitar... Well, the other Joe Walsh, that's the Joe Walsh that is the guitar player and singer, because everyone's a singer in the Eagles. He's one of the... Yes, he is one of the Eagles. He was one of those more... how would you call it? How would you call this? He was one of their more volatile members who kind of kicked in, kicked out. But he's famous. His most famous song is "Life Is Good to Me So Far." Okay, so that's my little Joe Walsh. It's not this. It's the other Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh that used to be in Congress, who's this Tea Party conservative, and he was the other Joe Walsh. Here's who this Joe Walsh is. Remember, there was a time when Obama was giving a speech to the entire, I believe it was a joint session of Congress. And Joe Walsh is that congressman who yelled out in the middle of Obama's speech, "You lie!" That Joe Walsh. He had one term in Congress, got defeated after that, and he spends his time on Twitter bashing the president. Although he did say he was a Trump supporter in 2016 and said that he was voting for Trump. But then suddenly, maybe a year into the Trump administration, then he became this anti-Trump person. He's, that's his big shtick on Twitter. He's a conservative who's anti-Trump, so a never Trumper now. Anyway, all right, let's talk about one of these reliable sources who we talked a little bit about yesterday, because he done messed up. MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell, aka Stop the Hammering. I apologize for and retract Trump loan story. On Wednesday's broadcast of MSNBC's Last Word, host Lawrence O'Donnell retracted and apologized for a report that President Trump had received loans that were co-signed by Russian oligarchs. Ooh, Russia. O'Donnell said last night on this show. Well, here, let's just listen to it. How's that sound? Let's actually listen to his apology.
Last night on this show, I discussed information that wasn't ready for reporting. I repeated statements a single source told me about the president's...
Can y'all hear that over the music? I hope you can.
finances and loan documents with Deutsche Bank, saying, if true, as I discussed the information, was simply not
Hold it
good
now.
enough.
Hold
I
up.
did
Now
not
that's
go-
funny. That's funny because when he did this report, so he makes this big old report, trying to this bringing back the whole Russia thing, and it trends all on Twitter all day yesterday, and even after he had to retract it, but he qualified it with, well, this news, if true. So, wait, if true, Fredo, please. Why are you reporting it if you have to say, if true? Okay, moving on.
Go through the rigorous verification and standards process here
The rigorous verification and standards process
at MSNBC before repeating what I heard from my source. Had it gone through that process, I would not have been permitted to report it. I should not have said it on air or posted it on Twitter. I was wrong to do so. This afternoon, attorneys for the president sent us a letter asserting the story is false. They also demanded a retraction. Tonight, we are retracting the story. We don't know whether the information is inaccurate.
We don't know if now here's the other part of this. It's hilarious because they reported this story and on Twitter some point yesterday they said, well, it is because yesterday on the show I said, wait a minute, so he's telling this story from a single anonymous source, and I kind of laughed about this yesterday because I'm like, well, single anonymous unverified source. I think you probably should wait a few days before you even before you start getting all excited, because everyone on Twitter was like, Trump. Let's see, was it Trump Russian co-signers or something like that? It just a complete bullshit story, and so we don't know if it's not true.
But
Can I get? By the way, I forgot. It is FTG Thursday. And I feel like I've been derelict in my duty. Can we get an FTG for Oliver Darcy, please? FTG for Oliver Darcy. That's the first FTG of the day. FTG Oliver Darcy. And can we get an FTG for Brian Stelter? FTG. All right, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm letting you down these days, so let's keep it going.
We do know it wasn't ready for broadcast, and for that, I apologize.
It wasn't ready for broadcast. Oh my good God. So what he said there, I did not go through the rigorous verification and standards process here at MSNBC. Wait a minute. The verification and standards process hasn't for the last 3 years NBC been the central place to go for the Russian collusion theory, conspiracy, whatever. Okay? Rachel Maddow talked about Russia for almost 3 years nonstop. Okay? And that shit fell apart. So, this rigorous verification and standards process here at MSNBC, some of the stories she told were such complete and utter bullshit, I don't even know how you can say those words in the same sentence. Thank you very much, C. Thomas, for a new super chat for $2. Oh my God. We have a profanity alert. Imagine my horsecock-sized shock that MSNBC made up shit yet again. The 24-hour cycle and media bias against the president really kills all trust and credibility. And rigorous screening my fucking ass. the same excuse for Russiagate. Yes, sir. Exactly. Okay. So, yeah. Good point there, Max Del Rio. Lawrence ran with a rumor he made up. Well, it very well could have, because, who knows? Who knows why he would actually run with this story? It's just a tiny bit embarrassing. Now and this is a Breitbart. Breitbart. I better not let Beto O'Rourke see me using Breitbart here. So let's see what else we got. We're gonna use the Ace of Spades today because they're a pretty good news aggregator. Let's see. Left can't stop lying about. Here we go. And this is. Oh, I'm sorry. Can we get an FTG for Lawrence O'Donnell? Absolutely, a big fat FTG for Lawrence O'Donnell. There you go. All right. Yeah, this is an interesting story. The left can't stop lying about the Tea Party. So in the late summer of 2009, as the recession ravaged the economy, bled 500,000 jobs a month, the country seemed to lose its mind. The New York Times says, kicking off its 10th anniversary retrospective of the Tea Party movement. As you can imagine, the rest of the article continues in this vein, portraying conservatives who organized against Obamacare as a bunch of vulgar radicals. More like blue hairs who cleaned up after themselves after the rallies. Yet this revisionism wasn't enough for most contemporary leftists who see everything through the prism of race. Yes, because people were protesting, and because Barack Obama just happened to be a person of color, very much like me, I'm half Nigerian, half Irish. Obama's half Kenyan, half Irish. Okay, and it's funny, when I was a kid, like 12, 13, 14 years old, I always thought that I was going to be the first black president, and it's weird because I said I was going to be the first black president in 2008. I wasn't that far off, except for it just wasn't me. Anyway, the fundamental flaw in this analysis is there's no mention of race. This is Matthew Dowd. A fundamental flaw in this analysis is there's no mention of race and how much racism drove the Tea Party movement. ABC's Matthew Dowd claimed. Didn't he used to be a conservative or something? I don't know. You can't talk about rage politics and leave out race. J.W. Peters' New York Times retrospective on the Tea Party summer of rage. Rage. Now, it's funny how they call this rage. Do they call the Women's March rage? Do they call it any other left of center Democratic, gatherings rage? Do they even describe the anti-Trump rallies as rage? They don't. They're just citizens doing their First Amendment rights and duties. But if it's something that has to do with right of center, it's always rage or attacked or pounced. I hate the words they use. Anyway, this retrospective on the Tea Party summer of rage 10 years ago makes not a single solitary reference to race or racism, Rolling Stone's Jamil Smith said, nor does it acknowledge the reality that a good deal of it involved opposing President Obama because he was black. That is a pile of bullshit! Oh my God. How do you write a 10-year later piece on the Tea Party and not mention, not once, not even in passing, the fact that it was essentially a hysterical grassroots tantrum about the fact that a black guy was president? Lies, asked non-biased Washington Post reporter Wesley Lowery, calling it journalistic malpractice. Hey, can I get an FTG for all three of these guys? In fact, you can put them in succession just like I'm about to. FTG, FTG, FTG. Fuck these guys. In its first In the first draft of the piece, I joked that the New York Times might add a line about Tea Party racism before the day was over to placate the Twitter mob. They did it. They did it before I could even publish. But it doesn't change the fact that there's no evidence that a good deal or any substantial deal, for that matter, of the Tea Party's popularity was propelled by racism. Yeah, there were a lot of black Tea Partiers too, folks. Hate to break it to you. The wealthy white leader of Congress at the time was just as unpopular among Tea Partiers as the black president. And as we've seen, if Hillary Clinton had won the 2008 election, she would have generated no less anger among conservatives. It was Barack Obama's leftist rhetoric and unprecedented unilateralism he had, after all, promised a fundamental change that ignited what amounts to a renewed Reaganism, a fusing of idealistic constitutionalism and economic libertarianism. I wish some of that would come back now, particularly the anger over deficits. That's one thing I think we have failed so far in the Trump era. Not even think. I know we failed. We haven't figured out how to cut the spending. Now, I know I'm going off on a little tangent here, but people are screaming and yelling about the fact that the deficit is where it is today. We still haven't come anywhere near to Barack Obama's greatest deficit in his second year as president. And so whenever they say that Barack Obama, and I'm talking, 2009, it was because it was after the 2010 when they showed that deficit. The only reason Barack Obama was able to reduce the deficit, not the deficit, is because he had the record deficit of all time in his first 2 years as presidency. And so to say that, you know what, we're going to increase his spending fivefold in our first 2 years, and then say, by the time I was, my 8th year president, we reduced the deficits. Well, no shit. And the thing is, if Trump has a second term, which I'm assuming he probably will, based on just what's going on. Maybe. You never know. You never know what's going on. But, of course, this heavy deficit that we have this year, this first part of his presidency, is going to be reduced because, we have way more people working and paying taxes right now. Wages are rising. People are paying more taxes. There's going to be a lot more revenue. In fact, there has been more revenue even in this early part of his presidency. So that's going to take care of some of the increased deficit. But I still think they need to work on the spending side, because the revenue is going to increase on its own. Did I say hi to Maniac Man? I'm going to say hi because I don't remember if I did. Good morning, sir. All right, let's go. Tea Party protesters not only felt like they were under assault from Democrats, but that they had been abandoned by the GOP establishment. That's why so many primaried white Republicans. If you really wanted to hear them rage, you could always bring up the former Caucasian and Republican President George W. Bush, who had abandoned free market principles to save the free market system. Yeah, the actual Tea Party, the first Tea Party, started while Bush was still president. I don't know how nobody can seem to remember that. As with any spontaneous political movement, some bad actors glommed onto protests. The New York Times article, for instance, informs us that one demonstrator at a rally in Maryland hanged a member of Congress in effigy, and that popular bumper sticker was "Honk if I'm paying your mortgage," as if we're supposed to be offended by the latter. Right? Most accusations of Tea Party racism are based on John Lewis's accusation, dutifully repeated by most of the media without any skepticism, that someone had called him ugly names and spit on him when he and Nancy Pelosi strolled through protesters in front of the Capitol. You know what's funny? Back then, I think I still had a blog or something. I can't remember. And I just remember watching that video where he said he was spit on over and over and listening to all of that. from many different angles, and lo and behold, nobody spit on him. Now, one guy who was yelling in the crowd as the Congress people came through this kind of open space, he said something, and I think you know how when you sometimes a little spittle comes off you when you're talking, you're saying P words or something like that. That's what happened. Okay, and he looks, and the guy's still talking. And he's like, "Who did that?" Nobody spit. It was just, someone's off someone's face. And the funny thing is, nobody. Now, this is the age when the smartphones were just all the rage, like they are now, of course. Not one single recording or video of anyone yelling any racial epithets. Not one could they come up with. In fact, Jesse Jackson Jr. was in that procession of Democrats because Nancy Pelosi was coming up with her giant gavel. They were so excited they were taking over the House. Jesse Jackson Jr. was filming with his phone or camera or whatever as they proceeded through the crowd. Now, you would think if you were hearing racial epithets, all that they would have to do is say, "Oh, yo, Jesse Jr., you were filming that. I bet you could find some of the racial epithets on your camera. Let's listen to your recording of us walking through that crowd, and we will put that on the nightly news." That never happened. I think I have a super chat. Was that I heard the bell. What was it? Oh, C. Thomas, thank you once again. Another $2 super chat from C. Thomas. Thank you, Corbin. Ever notice how the anti-racism crowd tends to be more racist than in a more condescending way? Oh, I notice it all the time. The left calls everything they do virtuous and good, then everything the right does as hateful, rage, and hate speech, because that's 100% true, right? CNN said so. Yeah, my favorite form of racism is when people are condescending. Okay, and it's usually the left condescending, or when the left's, "Oh, we can't have voter IDs because all these black people can't get IDs." Yeah, right. I don't know anybody that. I don't know. My whole family, most of my family, my family's white. My wife's side's family's mostly white, but how do you even function in society without an ID? Who doesn't have an ID? You can't do anything in this society without an ID. You can't cash a social security check. You can't get a bank account. You can't even sign up for anything you can't sign up for anything on the internet. You have to have some kind of ID. You have to have some kind of identification for just about anything you deal with the government. You have to have ID for. Who doesn't have ID? Anyway. So anyway, that's okay. So John Lewis said that someone had called him ugly names and spit on him as he and Nancy Pelosi strolled through the protesters in front of the Capitol. Although there were cameras everywhere on that historic day, no one was ever able to find any evidence to back up his claim. But none of this stopped Frank Rich, then a New York Times columnist, from boring into the collective soul of the movement, accusing it of engaging in small-scale mimicry of Kristallnacht. You know what? The Nazi... I'm not monetized, so it doesn't matter if I say these words. The Nazi comparisons started then. Is that the origin of the Nazi comparisons? Joe Biden reportedly accused them of acting like terrorists. Wow, dude, you were calling American citizens terrorists, Joe? Say it ain't so, Joe. Joe, can you remember? Oh, wait, we already know the answer to that. I better not ask that. Thomas Friedman referred to them as the Hezbollah faction of the GOP. Well, wait a minute. Is Hezbollah bad, Thomas Friedman? I'm not sure. we can never tell when if they're good or bad, right? Anyway, it was as one Democratic Party memo explained, not really all about average citizens, but an astroturf movement paid for by corporate lobbyists and populated by neo-Nazis, militias, secessionists, and racists. Gosh, it's amazing. This was 2008, 2009. Nothing's changed, has it? If you defy the Democratic narrative or the media narrative, nothing's changed at all. Neo-Nazis, militias, secessionists, and racists. All of this rhetoric sounds very familiar. Yes, it does. Left-wing protesters, no matter how puerile, hateful, or bigoted, and they are. It's funny. The left always accuse, a lot of people, not all the left, because I have very good friends on the left. I shouldn't say all the left, but who really displays more hate, honestly? Who hates the other side more? All right? I mean, you look at the Antifa movement. Their hate is, and they say they're fighting fascists. Who are the fascists you're fighting? Okay? Because initially, at least in most recent years, they were just going out and beating up regular old Trump supporters at Trump rallies, right? They weren't fighting neo-Nazis or fascists. They were fighting people going to see a presidential candidate. They were beating up people in the streets, okay? Now, the one group that grew out of that to fight back, and they were smeared constantly, would be the Proud Boys. Now, the Proud Boys have been deemed by the Southern Poverty Law Center as a hate group. But if you really go back and follow the history of the Proud Boys, all they were, they were the base stick man. They were the base Spartan dude. They were the guys who were sick of watching people get beat up, so they came to those rallies to fight back. And if you notice, just about all these cases where, you take Portland for instance. In Portland, they go into these towns like the Patriot Prayer. There's just people who go and pray. They they show up, have their little rally, and then all the Antifa guys coming around and start attacking them. Now, what they don't do is let themselves get beat up. They come prepared in case they're going to be attacked. Now, I think personally, them continuing to go into Portland is somewhat a provocation, but it's also, it's weird because they go in, even if they are going to go there, doesn't mean that the little black mask assholes need to commit violence. If they never commit violence on those people, would those people hurt anybody? No, not at all. They claim that, yes, they're coming here to harass, gay trans women of color, because that's their favorite high end of the totem pole of oppression politics that you can be. A gay, disabled woman, a trans woman of color. That's, that, and we're protecting the community from being harassed, right? Fuck off. Anyway, so yeah, this is I'm going to read the rest of this because this is actually a pretty good article. It's almost done here. Left-wing protesters, no matter how puerile, hateful, or bigoted, are typically depicted as righteous agents of change. Conservative and libertarian, on the other hand, rage. The summer of rage. Typically refers to riots that swept a number of American cities in 1967. The Tea Party protests never turned violent, ever. That's the other thing. If you can find me footage of a single violent Tea Party rally, where the blue hairs and old folks that were generally who the Tea Party were, even left a mess on the ground. If I had $1 million, I'd give it to you. But there isn't one, so there's no way to happen anyway. Tea Party protests never turned violent. There were no riots, no broken Starbucks windows. It was the most peaceful rage you would ever see. And then he says, I reported on the first numerous Tea Party protests on April 16, 2010. What I saw were some silly people and many others who were idealistic neophytes peacefully organizing around founding principles. Most had very specific policy goals in mind. None of them were about race. They were not. That is the truth. Most of them supported free markets. Many of them were still quite mainstream. A CBS New York Times poll at the time found that the average Tea Party activist was more educated than the average American, and their concerns mirrored the mainstream, although a majority were more socially conservative than the average voter, particularly on abortion. 8 in 10 of them wanted their burgeoning movement to focus on economic issues rather than social ones. That's the other thing. They didn't talk about social. They were strictly about economic issues. Now, maybe one person here and there maybe had something about social issues, but the Tea Party was strictly about economic issues. Hardly the anarchist depicted in the media, the poll found that a majority of Tea Partiers wanted to reduce the size of government rather than focus on cutting budget deficits or even lowering taxes. So a majority, in fact, believed that Social Security and Medicare were worthy taxpayer burdens, not even clamping down on illegal immigration. Often the impetus for charges of racism these days was a big topic among the activists. No, they didn't talk about that. It was all about size of government. Some of it was on reduce the deficit, but just reduce the size of government so we could, get out of this funk we were in. The Tea Party had 3 main grievances. Obamacare, they hated that. Government spending, and a feeling that their opinions were not represented in Washington. The protesters were fueled by Democrats' unprecedented action on healthcare policy. A decade later, the Tea Party's suspicion that the healthcare law was merely an incremental way to move towards more socialistic policies turned out to be correct, as most of the Democratic Party presidential field can attest. The Tea Party, some of their champions later turned out to be hypocrites or not, didn't want to change the Republican Party as much as they wanted to force conservative politicians to keep their promises. The movement, initially backed by a number of terrible candidates, but it learned. In the end, the Tea Party successfully re-energized Republicans who went on to win 2 wave elections and stifle Obama's presidency for 6 years. Whether the movement was a long-term failure, as the Time argues, is a debatable contention. Well, it couldn't have been a long-term failure. They actually were able to slow down that little wave of Obama legislation that he wanted to put through, and he wasted his whole first 2 years on Obamacare, which I'm glad it was the last thing he really got done. One thing is true, though. A majority of Tea Partiers were white. Well, yeah, okay. You know what that means, right? And as those of us who covered the Obama administration remember, no matter how historically detailed or ideologically anchored your position might be, the very act of opposing a black president was going to be depicted as an act of bigotry. And that's the thing, man. That was the one club that they wielded constantly. If you opposed anything that Obama did for any reason, you would be called a racist. Okay? You were not allowed to oppose anything Obama did on principle. So anyway, this cheap and destructive rhetoric now dominates virtually, and that's it. Guess what? How is it today? They say that Trump is divisive, but they used that divisive tactic the entire Obama administration. Okay, Okay, they made if you dared to oppose Obama, it wasn't because you thought his ideas were terrible. It was because you were a racist. And it was hard because, for minorities, especially, who did not like what Obama was doing, you were a traitor. You were a traitor to this glorious time in history where we have this wonderful black president who has no scandals and had no scandals during his entire presidency, except for selling guns and all the other shit that they did, and using the tax, using the IRS to clamp down on certain political groups, and the Fast and Furious, and also, I'm sorry, did you destroy Libya? And now Libya, they're trading slaves in that country, and the Benghazi thing, which that's all Hillary Clinton, and and now, as we're going to find out in the coming weeks, using your executive branch to spy on the campaign of the other party's presidential nominee, or try to set them up as a stooge of the Russians and create this whole thing that you're about to get blown up about. I wish I was completely optimistic about this, and that they're actually going to indict some people and get to the bottom of this and really let this out to the American people, because it's a huge scandal. And let's just get rid of this article. We're done with this article. Here's my worries on this. So let's say in the next couple weeks you see Andrew McCabe, James Comey, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Bruce Orr. See all of these people start to get indicted, right? The press, which still has way more power than it should, because the press, particularly the mainstream non-Fox press, okay, the alphabet press, the newspapers around the country, they're going to see this as Trump abusing the Justice Department's duties because he's a dictator who's trying to destroy all his enemies. Now, there's plenty of evidence. Everything that's going to come as far as any actions by the Justice Department, they're going to come as recommendations from the Inspector General. Now, is the Inspector General going to do like he did last time? He made some recommendations last time, and some people got fired. And the Office of Professional Responsibility got Andrew McCabe's fired. But is that report going to be as strong and as detailed as some of the documents that have been coming out? So not a whole lot of people are reporting on the documents, especially the mainstream press. You don't hear them talking about it at all. But if you listen to some of the things that organizations like Judicial Watch have gotten through FOIA requests, I loathe to give Sean Hannity credit, although he at least has the people on that have been finding this stuff. There should be people indicted. There should be people going to jail, because they put a lot of people in jail for little process crimes, or they put people in jail for lying, for perjury, right? Well, Andrew McCabe has been proven to have lied 3 times under oath. He's lied to investigators FBI investigators who have questioned him, Justice Department investigators who have questioned him, proven lies. That's why he got fired. So, if you're going to put General Michael Flynn, or accuse him of lying and convict him of lying, well, guess what, Andrew McCabe, your burden is higher because you're an FBI agent. You're not supposed to do that. There's a higher burden for people who are part of the Justice Department. So he should too. He should go to jail, right? James Comey. Now, he's had his very public battle with Trump, but he also lied under oath. There's proven, documented lies he's told under oath. He's lied in his book. He's been lying to, I'm pretty sure he's been lying to the other people in the Justice Department. this is not going to be nice. It shouldn't be good for them. But the reason I'm not necessarily optimistic is because the same reason. What's her name? What's her name? Hillary Clinton. Now, if you know anything about the laws regarding the handling of classified information, Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin and maybe even Anthony Weiner should be under the jail. Now, I say Anthony Weiner because the stuff showed up on his laptop, classified information. And really, you don't have to have intent for the mishandling of classified information. It says it right in the statute. It doesn't have to be intent. That's why the guy who took the soldier who took a picture of himself on a nuclear submarine went to jail for a year. Because he wasn't intending to take pictures of a classified, nuclear submarine, but he did. And so he went to jail for it. I'm sorry. So, anyway. Can I get an FTG for... Who's my FTG in right now? Well, we already got Matthew Dowd. You can get an FTG for him. Jamil Smith. Wes Lowry. Just FTGs for all of them. FTG. FTG to all of them. All right. What else we got? Oh, it's that time. It's time for Twitter Trends already? Holy moly. I've been just having so much fun talking about this. Let me just check a couple of other headlines here. Let's see. Even Republicans think 2020... Oh my, insane. Even Republicans think 2020 Russian election meddling will help Trump. I really wish. Now, I'm not 100% sure of this, but just my feeling is the whole Russian election meddling is bullshit. Yes, I said that out loud. Yes, I'm looking like a conspiracy theorist, but whatever. There are enough people that I've seen, and in fact, the former NSA top computer espionage person, Bill Binney, said that the DNC wasn't hacked. Okay, based on the metadata from the files that they gave up to try to make it look like they were hacked. Look, the FBI still has never looked at the servers. The only information they have is what CrowdStrike, the company that the DNC contractor hired by the DNC and Hillary Clinton, is this company that gave the FBI the metadata from their computers. Some of it was redacted. And the FBI has used that to say that the Russians hacked their DNC computers. Really? So in a court of law, since the FBI never examined the DNC servers themselves, that would be thrown out. But who did they indict because of that particular act? Oh yeah, 6 Russian generals who they know are never going to trial. Now, the Russian companies they indicted for the Facebook ads and all that other bullshit that... God. What is it? $5,000 worth of Facebook ads in a $3 billion presidential campaign overall? $5,000. The Russians only spent $5,000 to swing the election. Those companies, one of those companies is fighting back, and lo and behold, the FBI doesn't have any evidence that they actually of what they say they did. I forgot what I was talking about. Anyway, yes, thank you, Longfish. Time to declassify. It is. I'm not even convinced the Russians did hack the DNC. And why? Okay, so Russians hacked the DNC And what kind of information did they supposedly produce via WikiLeaks? Oh, well, the information they produced was all true. The DNC emails and the John Podesta emails and all that said that the DNC cheated Bernie Sanders. Well, yeah, okay, really? Is that is that what they were looking for? I mean, what are you looking? The DNC is not part of the U.S. government. Why would the Russians hack the DNC? Who gives a... So they could tell the public that the DNC cheated Bernie? Or that Donna Brazile was giving up questions in the debates or whatever they did? Who gives a shit? Why would... The DNC is a private organization. It is not a part of the U.S. government. Whatever. All right. I'm not going to get any more. Let's go. Let's do some Twitter trends and get out of here because it's that time. So let's get real quick here. Oh, I got some notifications. Explore, and here we are. Breaking news, people. Breaking effing news. Number one trending right now is James Comey. The OIG report on James Comey confirms what many of us have known for years. Comey stole government records, leaked classified information, and repeatedly violated FBI rules and his own employment agreement in order to get revenge on Trump for firing him. This is from the IG report. Comey told the OIG that he shared copies of memos 2, 4, 6, and 7 with his attorneys to obtain legal representation in connection with his removal as FBI director and any post-removal legal issues that might arise. However, Comey was not authorized to provide these memos to his attorneys without prior approval from or coordination with the FBI. As the courts have made clear, a federal employee seeking legal advice does not have carte blanche authority to disclose any and all confidential government information to the employee's attorney. Rather, Comey's interests in communicating with his counsel must be balanced against the government's legitimate interest in protecting its information and preventing disclosure of certain types of information, such as national security or Privacy Act protected information. To strike this balance, courts have fashioned protective orders and required private attorneys to sign non-disclosure agreements. Courts have also replaced restrictions on the employee or former employees for their distribution of government information through an attorney in order to prevent any de facto public disclosure. The United States Supreme Court has also recognized that the validity and enforceability of employment agreements like the one signed by Comey, which require a public employee to submit to the pre-publication review process before making disclosures. By providing memos 2, 4, 6, and 7 to his attorney without seeking FBI approval, Comey took for himself the carte blanche authority expressly denied by the court in clear violation of the FBI's pre-publication review policy and the requirements of Comey FBI employment agreement. As a result, Comey not only disclosed sensitive law enforcement information to his personal counsel, but also a small amount of information contained in Memo 2 that the FBI subsequently determined was classified at the confidential level. On June 7th, Comey learned that the FBI classification decision regarding Memo 2 when the FBI allowed him to review the copies of all 7 memos with classification banners and markings. In preparation for his June 8, 2017 congressional testimony, once he knew that the FBI had classified portions of Memo 2, Comey failed to immediately notify the FBI that he had previously given Memo 2 to his attorneys. The FBI's Safeguarding Classified National Security Information Policy Guide clearly states that any person who has knowledge of that classified information has been or may have been lost, compromised, or disclosed to an unauthorized person must immediately report the circumstances to his or her security office. Comey violated this requirement by failing to immediately inform the FBI that he provided Memo 2 to his attorneys. The FBI did not learn that Comey had shared any memos with anyone outside the FBI until Comey's June 8, 2017 congressional testimony. During his testimony, Comey stated that he provided Memo 4 to a friend to share the contents with a reporter. Comey did not mention that he provided memos 2, 4, 6, and 7 to each of his 3 attorneys. Based on Comey's testimony, FBI leadership knew that Richmond was the friend to whom Comey had disclosed memo 4 with instructions to provide its contents to the New York Times. Baker and Strzok immediately called Richmond while Comey was still testifying to make arrangements to retrieve memo 4, so they were trying to hide it. That's James Baker and Peter Strzok. They tried to cover it up. Oh my God. They immediately called Richmond while Comey was still testifying to make arrangements to retrieve memo 4. It was only through the FBI's conversation with Richmond on June 8th or June 9th that the FBI learned of the need to retrieve classified information contained in memo 2, as well as other FBI records, memo 6 and 7, from each of Comey's 3 attorneys. We do not believe that Richmond's volunteering to the FBI that he and Comey's other counsel had these other memos after the FBI initiated contact with Richmond in an effort to retrieve memo 4 fulfilled Comey's obligation to immediately report his disclosure of classified information to unauthorized persons. By not immediately reporting that he had provided memo 2 to his attorneys when Comey first learned that the FBI had designated a small portion of memo 2 as classified at the confidential level, Comey violated FBI policy. Well. Now I'm gonna avoid the people who, I'm gonna avoid people who are on the right as far as who's commenting on this on Twitter, or at least the well-known people. So I'm skipping Laura Ingraham, I'm skipping Ann Coulter. Someone named Ned Ryan. Listen, regardless of the fact that Comey won't be recommended for prosecution, let's be clear. The DOJ IG report leaves no doubt that Comey was a leaker guilty of the weasel moves he claimed to abhor, but Weasel's gonna make weasel moves, okay? Do y'all remember when Comey lecturing us all about protecting institutions? DOJ IG, Comey set a dangerous example for the over 35,000 current FBI employees and the many thousands more FBI employees who similarly have access or knowledge of non-public information. Washington Examiner, it's got to be maddening to Hillary Clinton that the guy who bird-dogged her for her own illegal handling of public records seems to have been improperly handling public records himself. Yeah, he was the investigator on her case, but you know what? He let her off the hook anyway. Storing public records at home, James Comey what is this article? Let me read this. This may be the only thing I talk about. Oh, the music's distracting here. I'll turn it down. I'll turn it down just a little bit because I should have turned it off for this. This is amazing. Where was I here? Oh, over here. Oh, okay. Storing public records at home. James Comey is the dead tree version of Hillary Clinton. This must be an editorial. Oh, Tim Carney. Yeah, this is an editorial. James Comey in 2016 investigated Hillary Clinton for her violation of public records laws. Hillary, you may recall, conducted all her State Department business on a homemade email address on a private server, posing security risks and also allowing her to hide emails from the authorities in violation of public records laws. After Donald Trump became president, Comey in 2017 apparently did the exact same thing, except with paper records rather than emails, according to the report from the Justice Department. So this Justice Department, oh my goodness, Comey is, ooh. Matt Schlapp, J. Edgar Hoover violated the Constitution with his abuse of power. James Comey now joins him in disgrace. No penalty would be too extreme for using the FBI to over and over again affect a presidential election. Even Hillary agrees. She may retweet me. Wow. Okay, so we're gonna check this report out. We may spend some time on that report tomorrow. But point of what? Point of personal privilege. Yeah, sorry, Zombie Teddy. Hey, how you doing? I didn't even see you pop in. Good morning, Cynical Lindsay. Anyone else pop in while I wasn't paying attention? Looks like, okay, I think I got everybody. Wow. In America. Okay, now I'm not a fan of Charlie Kirk. I think from Talking Points USA. But as long as you do it in the name of destroying Trump, in America, you can commit crimes as long as you do it in the name of destroying Trump. Comey, Clapper, McCabe, Brennan, Hillary, Obama. There are 2 tiers of justice in America. Reclaiming my time. I see you there. Goodness gracious. The American justice system continues to be made a mockery every time people like James Comey, Hillary Clinton, John Kerry, Andrew McCabe, and Joe Biden are allowed to get away with corruption unscathed while everyday Americans rot in jail over petty crimes. It's bullshit. So, now, okay, so the OIG reports Comey's story is going to boomerang around Propagandistan, outrage landia so thoroughly today, I'm steering clear of the whole damn thing for the sake of my sanity. You know what? You're so guilty, it's not even funny. So, okay, is this the one? I wonder if this is the one that they say they're not going to. They're not going to prosecute. Now, this is funny. So, the Daily Beast. The Daily Beast. Of course, they're going to carry water for Comey. The Daily Beast. New. James Comey responds to the DOJ Inspector General's report. An apology would be nice. What? What? Oh, they want him to... Wait a minute. Let's read this Daily Beast BS. An apology would be nice. Former FBI Director James Comey responded Thursday to the Office of the Inspector General's report, saying that although the IG's probe found that he violated department policy, he believes he is owed an apology. I don't need a public apology from those who defame me, but a quick message with a "sorry we lied about you" would be nice, he tweeted. And to all those who spent 2 years talking about me going to jail or being a liar and a leaker, ask yourself, why do you still trust people who gave you bad info for so long, including You are a liar and a leaker! It said right in the damn report! Oh my God! While the report concluded Comey did break internal rules by sharing with people outside the FBI his memos detailing conversations with President Donald Trump, the Inspector General also found no evidence that Comey or his attorneys released any of the classified information contained in any of the memos to members of the media. Wow, that was a narrow, very narrow way they put that. Ooh, man. The report also said the Justice Department decided against prosecuting Comey for his handling of the memos. Oh, because I'm pretty sure the next report is going to show you that there's more. So this must be this is the report that just became public. I'm confused now. I'm confused. You go first. Repeat it with me. I'm sorry, Secretary Clinton. I'm sorry, America. He is an embarrassment. He's an embarrassment. That's true. But I don't think y'all realize he has nothing. Hillary Clinton should be kissing his feet for not prosecuting because Loretta Lynch and him decided. You got to be kidding me. Oh my gosh. A very, very small group is usually how coups work. And this is obviously false from Lisa Page. Comey was reporting directly to the head of the Russian investigation. What? As a part of this investigation, we interviewed multiple senior FBI officials, including Rebecca Baker and McCabe, to determine who had access to the memos and how they were handled by FBI personnel. McCabe told the OIG that he believed Comey was trying to limit knowledge about Comey's communications with Trump to a very, very small group of close advisors. McCabe said he thought Comey didn't want these memos floating around and widely distributed. McCabe's special counsel, Lisa Page, told the OIG that she thought Comey's objective in keeping the number of people exposed to the memos incredibly small was an effort to insulate the core team. who was doing the Russia investigation, from knowing any of this so that it didn't ultimately impact their investigative steps. Baker said that Comey told him his concern at the time was the president's perceived effort to influence the investigation filtering down to the people actually working on the case and impacting the ongoing investigation, and thereby only a very small group was informed about the interactions. Whew, I'm sorry, but you know what? OIG, Comey violated the law but won't be prosecuted. Comey, I demand you apologize to me for besmirching my name. Everyone else, yeah, they're laughing. Yeah, he's demanding an apology when it shows he violated the law. Did Comey's leak violate? Okay, we're going to get into this way deeper tomorrow. Can I get a big fat FTG for James Comey, please? Thursday Thoughts number 2. Let's, okay, Thursday Thoughts. What do we got? Racism, what? Racism explained for dummies. Oh, good God. That's funny. I find humor in that. That's a good thought. There's racism explained for dummies. What good is racism's worthless because you're all eggs and you're all going to get fried by the federal government. Okay, that's not what it meant, but I understood what they were really going for there. I just found it humorous. Good morning, guys. I pray that your life be colorful and beautiful as this flower. May you never encounter armed robbers shot by your favorite iPhone photographer. Okay, so anyway, that's a good Thursday thought. Let's move on because those get old. Number 3, category 4. Let's see here. Latest, Hurricane Dorian may make landfall as a powerful Category 4 on Monday morning. Yeah, now they've been saying Category 3 up till now. It was a tropical storm as it leaves Puerto Rico. Oh, it missed Puerto Rico completely, but Florida could be next. So again, if you're in Florida or know anyone in Florida, tell them to batten down the hatches and be safe. Follow what the authorities around you tell you to do. Don't be a hero. Number 4 trending, Yang media blackout. The Yang media blackout is unacceptable and should bother anyone that cares about having a fair democracy, whether he's your favorite candidate or not. You know what? Have you seen this man missing from CNN, MSNBC, and so on, Fox, and everywhere? You know what? He's a low-tier candidate. You might get him on TV, but he's still at the bottom of the last 10. So I don't know how, yeah, I know there's lots of Yang gang people out there who think Yang should be, front and center. Oh, this is interesting. Yes, CNN may have fixed their graphic after our outcry yesterday, but this has been happening for months. We can't allow a Yang media blackout. Check this out from a few months back. It's amazing the momentum we've built when it took the MSM a while to even acknowledge his existence. Was he missing from the campaign poster? Oh, yeah, it looks like they didn't even have him on this poster. So, anytime, all the low-tier candidates are always in perpetuity going to complain that they're not being treated fairly. I don't know what you do about that. Yang's got to work on getting his message out if he really wants people to take him seriously. So there you go. Let's see. What else is trending here? Thursday motivation will skip. King of Pop, Michael Jackson's birthday. It would have been his 61st birthday today. I don't care what you think about Michael Jackson's personal life. Absolutely one of the great entertainers of our era, or the era of people my age. I think as far as talent, he and Prince, probably two of the most incredibly talented individuals in... Jackson, I don't know so much as music, but as an entertainer, Prince is by far the greatest musician of the 20th century, perhaps. And maybe not of all time, but just a virtuoso on so many different instruments, and just a crazy catalog of stuff. I mean, they've got enough music for 40 more albums for Prince from his masters at Paisley Park here in the west of the Twin Cities here. It's just amazing. Anyway, Forever 21, if you're familiar with that store, they are preparing for bankruptcy. according to Bloomberg. I'm not going to get into that. Thursday morning, we're going to skip. FARC is trending. Now, Colombia's top rebel leaders announced a new phase of armed struggle. Aren't they the rebels in Colombia? Let's see. Senior leaders of the former Colombian FARC guerrilla army, which laid down arms after half a century of war in 2016, have announced a renewal of guerrilla insurgency, blaming the government, not unfairly, for undermining the peace process. That's not good. You don't want that shit to start up again, but you know what? You just got to wonder how between the drug lords, the government, and FARC, that's three factors that just can destabilize the area again. That's frustrating to hear. So they're going to launch a new era of armed struggle in the country. That's not good. We're going to see more refugees from that part of the world, I think. Moving on. Enzo. Something to do... What? Okay, apparently something WWE related. I don't follow WWE as much anymore. So I don't, I'm sorry. I'm just going to skip it. Brandon Whedon, I don't know. Rue 21, Rue 21. Why are people talking about Coco Chanel today? Oh, Forever 21 is filing bankruptcy. Y'all killed Charlotte Russe. Now Forever 21. I could go on and rant about how Amazon is killing businesses, but I have more important questions. How the hell is Rue 21 still open? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Rue 21. That's from Chanel. I don't know. This is a question I have no idea. But apparently, people are pissed off that Rue 21 still exists and Forever 21 is maybe going away. Well, filing for bankruptcy isn't necessarily going away either. Bankruptcy is bankruptcy protection. But yeah, Amazon is making it tough for people in malls. Although the closest mall to my home, which is the Mall of America, seems to be going very strong. It's busy all the time. All right. Anything else interesting? Sasha Obama is going to go to the University of Michigan. Okay. I'm surprised they didn't get her into Harvard too, or whatever. Usually Democratic politicians have a really easy time getting their kids into Ivy League schools somehow. Now, I can't imagine that all these Democratic Party kids, or I shouldn't say just Democratic, politicians' kids, not just Democrats, Republicans too. I can't imagine they're all so brilliant that they can all get into these Ivy League schools, but somehow they do. But Sasha is going to the University of Michigan. Good for her. Nice. That's a good school to go to. And, it doesn't surprise me. Thoreau is trending because... Okay, there's a tweet going around shitting on Thoreau. And look, the guy was problematic, like everyone was. Problematic, fuck you. But he also worked on the Underground Railroad and refused to pay taxes because they would go to slavery and the racist war with Mexico. The racist war with Mexico. You all realize that back in the day, the racist war with Mexico, the Mexicans were basically white Europeans too. They just were a little browner because they were mixing with the native population more than than we did up here. So they're just a bunch of Mexico. Oh my God, you stupid people! The racist war with Mexico. Mexico's not a race, motherfucker. So apparently, I was hoping to celebrate Thoreau, but it looks like from these tweets, most who probably never read his books, love to tear him down. Says so much about our society. Yeah, you know what? You can't be, you can't say anything nice about the people from the past anymore because there was something they did that was problematic. All right, let's see. What's last? Prime Shack and Outbreak. Okay. Let's do this. We're going to do Outbreak first. Okay, so RE Engine multiplayer RE game. That's basically Outbreak with character creation. Okay, that's about video games. So, me waking up after outbreak trending and finding out it's not because of an actual zombie outbreak. Yeah, that's a good one. And let's see why. All right, last one we're going to check is Prime Shaq. Prime Shaq. I'd rather have Prime Kobe Bryant than Prime Shaq. It's really simple when you think about it. That's according to Stephen A. Smith. Okay. Another guy who needs his brain examined. Prime Shaq is the most dominant, unstoppable force of all time. You know what? I frankly, I prefer Prime Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is probably the most underappreciated NBA superstar of all time, because it wasn't he for his entire career he dominated in that position, but he wasn't flashy, he wasn't exciting. He was, he'd make a shot and just trot down the court. He wasn't full of dunks, he wasn't full of spectacular plays, but the man could pass the ball as good as any big man in history, and he has 6 rings. So anyway, doesn't he have 6 or 5? No, he has 5. I'm just saying, Prime Shaq, prime time to say goodbye. You know what? You're right. It is that time, people. You know what? I gotta call it a day. So, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Necrosol and Sarah, again for tweeting out the show this morning. And anyone else who happened to share it on social media. Also, if you haven't done so already, please, and if you're watching this after the live show, just watching the repeat or whatever, please share this out. If you haven't hit the like button already, please do that. And just always remember, if you ever want to do super chats or donations, we can do that through the Streamlabs link down below. Fun day, boy. We're going to be hearing a lot about James Comey all damn day. Everyone's going to be talking about that. The only other thing that I wanted to make sure I want to look through here, what are the big headlines? Apparently, there's just the big headlines. Lawrence O'Donnell's apology. Remember that. Ravens signed Jermaine Summon Illamur to the Patriots. trade him. Beekeeper turns honey stealing bears into waste taste testers. That's a cute story. Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey has been appointed a film professor at the University of Texas. That's interesting. I'm going to go to my film class. How do you like your professor? Well, it's Matthew McConaughey. I could just see the women going crazy. And also, this one last thing. I didn't mention this yesterday, but rest in peace, Jesse. Oh, yes, I did. It was trending yesterday. But rest in peace, Jessie Combs, the fastest woman on 4 wheels. She was on Mythbusters, and she was also one of the original women on the show Overhauling with Chip Foose. And she passed away trying to break her new record. May she rest in peace. And that's it for today, people. I gotta go. Thanks for coming today. I really appreciate you all of you who come in. Thank you, C. Thomas in particular, for the super chats today. And y'all have a great day. It is Thursday, the 29th of August, and my name is Dawg Knight. And I'm out of here. Bye. Hey, this is Dawg Knight, and I want to thank you for joining me today on the Dawg Knight channel. Before you go, if you like what you saw and you're not already subscribed, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below, and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, and 2 p.m. GMT. A special thanks to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through our Streamlabs link in the description below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here.